absolute last question is on crypto. I mean, we've touched upon it here and there, and I mean, in a conversation on natural resources and commodities, we can't miss talking about that. So I just wanted to hear your views if you have any on that space.
So it's really widely out of my realm of expertise. I've done a little bit of work on the energy consumption side, so I think I'm relatively educated there. In terms of its store of value, I'm not the guy to talk to, and I'm in a little bit of a position where I know really, really smart people who I admire their thought process greatly, who are on both sides of this argument, who are non-coiners and who are total hodlers. I know I worked very closely with some people who were one of the forefront venture investors across the kind of Bitcoin blockchain architecture, who've called this exactly right. So again, I would leave it to somebody else to call crypto. I do think that that gold has a potential to earn back some of its sort of a debasement cred here, and I do think there's an extraordinary amount of bad information out there about the real kind of energy footprint of Bitcoin from both sides. Some saying it's way more energy intense. Some say it's all being fed by renewables. You know, when a single coal mine gets flooded in China and the hash rate goes down by 15%, you can't tell me that Bitcoin is 85 or 90% renewable. You just can't.
Yeah.
So it's a place. I don't mean to say that doesn't mean that Bitcoin should survive or should thrive or isn't justifiable use of that. It's just a fact. That it's this argument that it can be purely run on surplus renewable energy is sort of much like the goals that we have for renewable energy. It's theoretically interesting, but utterly fanciful from an operational perspective. So again, it's an area I'll leave to much smarter people than I. But if it brings more people to the belief that we need to protect ourselves from the actions of reckless central banks, hopefully the people won't choose only one way to express that view. And if you take a little scratch under the surface of the resource space and find incredibly cheap valuations, high dividend yields, and cash flow yields, that I just think it makes sense to have some of that too. And for that, I like to think I'm your guy.
Yeah, great. Thanks a lot for sparing so much time with us for this talk, Robert. I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, Rohit, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for your interest in what we've been doing. MOI is I didn't know it before you reached out to me, but I've now been digging into it. It looks like a fantastic organization for sort of the circulating of really good fundamental research, which I think there's just not enough of it in the world these days. So I wish you and all of your viewers and listeners good luck, and I hope to be part of the community and perhaps even a contributor to it going forward.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, Robert. And just one last thing: if people want to know more about how you think, etc., how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, if you want to find, I've got a website that you can get on. It's called MRA Funds. So that's Marathon Resource Advisors, MRA Funds, FUNDS.com. And I'm not a super frequent contributor to social media, but at MRA Funds is my Twitter handle. I'm looking at scaling that up a little bit and being a little bit more of a frequent contributor. But you'll typically see me, reach out on some specific topics, once every other week. I'm going to try and step that up. And whenever I release my quarterly updates or any big macro pieces, that's where I'll typically do that. And so if people want to subscribe to what I'm doing, they just go to the website and, disclaimer that they're an accredited or certified investor. And then they can get on my update list and get my thoughts on a real-time quarterly basis.
Great. Thanks, Robert. I just stopped the recording right now.